Okay. Hey, everybody. I got a little bit of a boost of confidence, even though Johnny calls it ego, when I watched this woman's YouTube video on Johnny Depp's twin flame. And I, everything about about her reading resonated with what I believe to be accurate, like either 100% or just slightly off or reversed, as in, I think she was kinder to me than what she needed to be, but in ways that made me seem more normal than what I actually am. So all the abnormal stuff she got right, but the biggest hit to me was when she poured out um, letters from, like, these bead letters from a jar, and the letter R dropped in first, and then Jary. I have a very long name, and at one point when I was married, I had 5 names, the initials which are RJARY. My real name, that is. I don't use the name because it's weird. But the letter R is needed twice, and I don't know if there's enough R's in her jar. And so the R needed to do twice, so it dropped on the table first, and then she rearranged the letters and she spelled out my initials. I asked Grok what is the likely number of people globally to have those initials in that order, and it said that it's almost 0 to a few dozen, couple of dozen of people like that globally. So I'd say it's a pretty good indicator that this is not just in my head, and that I feel a little bit more confident to talk about it out loud. So thank you. I will link to the blogger, the V blogger. Where's my history? I forgot her name. Mrs. Gucci. Thank you very much, Mrs. Gucci. So I decided to do a tarot reading of my own because I'm pretty good at it. She did say that I am highly spiritual, and that I've been, like, this whole reading was like crazy accurate in some ways. Like, I've been basically, she pulled out a crocodile card in one of her readings, that she's Johnny Depp's twin flame is this crocodile character waiting in, like, barely visible. And that's exactly how I freaking live my life. I'm like the best kept secret in the world. and like COVID, for instance, did absolutely no change to my lifestyle whatsoever. I was just like, well, now everybody's doing the same thing as I, more or less. And I've been writing about spirituality and emotions, as in human. She mentioned that I'm very interested in people's experience, like human emotional. I can't remember how she phrased it, but it is about, certainly about human emotion and spiritual relationships and karmic soulmates, like soulmates of different kinds. And I have developed this soulmate typology called mirror spirit, so personality mirror soulmate typology. In another reading for Johnny Depp, the reader pulled out a card mirror at first, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but there was something about it that I felt compelled not to keep listening to, but then I switched off to to Mrs. Gucci. Was it Gucci? I'm terrible with names, I'm sorry. And yeah, so I've been writing this spiritual theory that I do believe is, though psycho-spiritual theory, I do believe it to be somewhat groundbreaking, which is part of the reason why we are separated with Johnny, because everything, and Johnny is not my only true emotion mirror, by the way, but he is the loudest one, if you can believe it. And he is very much in the forefront of all of them, very much forcing very usually loud men to take the backseat, which is interesting because he is not the quietest man in my true emotion mirrors, but is certainly one of them. And he has probably the least issues in becoming known as one of my true emotion mirror. And then there's another guy who usually like pushes his name forward, but now he's at leave it to another video for maximum, which is proof factor. Because I have somewhat like, she did mention in the reading that she's not in the mind of becoming a part of the gossip, and now like, you know what, there is fun you can have with it, so I'm going to have fun with whatever you guys are going to say. And the more devastating idea is probably that nobody's going to care at all. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I got inspired to do my own tarot reading, which is weird because I'm doing it for myself in public, which is every time I try to do a public tarot reading for other people, it sort of turns out to be about me anyway. So I'm just gonna let tarot take charge and tell me what to tell. And the first card I open up with when I open up my own personal tarot app, which you can actually use if you want, it's everstone.net/tarot. Not a very complicated, and this is the part of my blog that is currently open for public to use, and the rest I've closed up yesterday to give ourselves a space to be alone with my true emotion mirrors if I find a actual connection. So the one thing that she did get wrong is that we know each other in person, in real life, in 3D. We don't, but we have been in telepathic connection for since 2012, and I know that he hears some of it, but I don't think he knows who I am exactly. So there's like, I'm not going to mention every hit there is, but one of the biggest one was the hit. Sounds like a top 10 thing. One of the biggest the reasons why I believe that this is real is that one of the biggest, this is not the only one, but back in when he had drama with you know who, I had this feeling constantly that there was violence involved in that relationship. And I did believe that it was Johnny at Amber, which is weird. But I felt very much that, and he sort of played up on that idea. But but I felt strongly that she was begging for it. Like she literally had the need to be beaten up by her, by him, and that he occasionally did that. I don't now believe that he did, but what I felt also that I had this deep hatred towards her, like, and I couldn't understand where it comes from, because I'm not jealous type at all. And I didn't think that she was significant enough for me to react from ego, like denying her beauty or her talent or whatever. But simply because I can't stand the idea that she's going to overshine me. But, and we were talking about it with Johnny, that what is it about her? Because the way my psychic ability works is that they can't tell me facts. They can only guess what's going on in their life. So they are not fully connected to their own life when they are with me. So everything that they know has to sort of come from me, and then I'm observing their life from my perspective, which also makes it weird because I don't know if he's got a connection with someone else similarly to me, and I'm just one of the alternatives. But I do believe that I am the one that he's supposed to be with. But then again, everybody who would be in my position would believe that. So you can shove that where you think it belongs. But yeah, so I believed that there was violence in it, but that she was very much instigating it. And it was probably what she intended. So what I was connecting with was what was her intention of how things were supposed to go between them. And I do believe that there is a part of her that romanticizes violence, that is a passionate relationship, and men react from jealousy towards her, and that's why he's violent. So she connects it with that sort of fantasy of what Johnny is going to do and what he's like. And it may be from our previous lifetime where I do believe that there was some violence. But one of the things I'm actually going to jump into another one of the things what I tweaked to that this didn't happen is the way Amber described the violence to look like. And I know this guy, and I know that this is not the way he is violent. Even when he is violent, that is not the way he is violent. As in, he never loses his temper. He never loses his composure. He's never, even when it's perfectly fine in history, when we've been married in previous lifetimes, even when it's perfectly accepted and assumed that a gentleman would keep his woman under check, there are limits to how far he can go. And I know that he wouldn't cross certain limits, and that he would always remain aware of his own actions, and he would never act in an unbecoming way. He is a gentleman through and through. So he would never put himself in a position where he will look less than a gentleman, which means that he may growl at you. He may grab your arm and growl in your ear that you're not doing it, or give you truths about who you are, as in you are just a hypocritical da 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 da. He would never actually physically harm you, is what I feel. Like if he loves you, he doesn't go past a certain point, and they would like the idea of bruising someone, or that kind of that level violence just wouldn't be what he does. And he, like, I think I know the movie where she got this from. I don't remember its name, but he's this wine bottle, this magnum size champagne bottle thing that he wheeled around like a baseball bat, like nah. never. That is just not Johnny. I don't know. It was, I have this distinct memory of a movie where that scene played out, and there's plenty of, when she's describing the violence, there's a lot of movie scenes that I reckon like movie like descriptions of what's going on. So anyway, you all know, I know that no violence took place. But I don't blame the people who believe Amber, because I do believe that if you love someone, you have to believe their lies, even if you don't believe them. Like, you have to publicly support them even if you don't believe a word they're saying, because if you love them, you take their side no matter what. And I sort of accept that they have chosen their side, and that's all there is to it. And none of them believe what she's saying, but they have to publicly pretend like they do. And yeah, so one of the things that Johnny never wanted me to do is to read up on media what he's like. And because he felt that media is very much full of bull crap about him, and just fantastical descriptions of his character and so forth. And so I never did. But there was one video on YouTube that he pointed out that please watch that one, because the interviewer was a close friend and he trusted him. I'm not going to mention who, because things have changed a little bit, but I watched that video like 2 minutes at a time, and then we had a conversation, and 2 minutes at whatever length at a time, and then we had a conversation, and then I go on a little bit longer, have a conversation. At the end of it, he's like, okay, you know what you're getting yourself into, and I'm okay with this. And up until that point, he was very like, should I go? Should I stay here? Do you actually want me here? Or should I, like, what should I do? And after that, he just basically sat down, and he's been completely calm and relaxed with me from that point onwards. And that was, the timing of that was May 2016, about day 15. I don't remember exactly, and I couldn't find the history, because I've got multiple Google accounts, so I don't know which one I was watching it for. I just couldn't find it at the time, but it was around that time, about 2 weeks before the news broke that Amber is getting. But I actually forgot one bit from between. So the next day, I'm writing my only friend who knows everything about this and so forth. The only person I've entrusted with any great details, because she has a very similar connection to another 2 actors that have now sort of taken a back seat, but anyway, we understand each other very, very well. And so I write her an email that, you know what, we had this conversation, da da da. And then Johnny comes in like from my right side, which is unusual side for him to barge in on, and he's usually on my, like, in very same position, but now he's walking in and he's furious, and he's saying, I'm done with Amber, I'm getting a divorce. And we're like, okay, cool. And I remember writing that into that email. I remember sending it. 2 weeks later, I had a thyroid cancer operated on from my throat, where thyroid is located. And I come back from a hospital. It's a 1-night stay, if I recall. And I open the laptop, and the first thing I see Amber Heard has gone into the court and filed for divorce. And I go directly to my friends' messages or email or whatever, and I'm like, about to tell her, and she's like, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this?" And then we start talking about, where's that email that we were talking, Ninonki? Where's that email? I can't find it. She can't find it. We go back like archives and archives. That was a time when I was sort of changing different email account, like providers, because I couldn't find one that I liked, and then I wound up in Gmail, obviously, like everybody else. But but, I had multiple places to check, and none of them have this email. She doesn't have that email, and I don't know whether I thought about writing that bit to her. She grabs it telepathically, because that seems to happen in my life a lot. She remembers it, but the email doesn't exist. We have a conversation after, like we have a conversation recorded on email that states about the stuff that we talked about after I said that Johnny is getting a divorce, but we don't have anything to state that I've actually sent her that line, I'm getting a divorce from Amber. And yeah, 2 weeks later they are divorcing, but it seemed for a long time that Amber was the one to file the divorce. And now all these allegations come out, and I'm terrified that my anger towards Amber has influenced him to be violent towards her. And because he's not a violent guy per se, like even though I said that he has the way that he's violent exists, but it's just not the way that Amber describes. So I'm fearing that if he did all that, because I'm one of those people who doesn't understand how somebody might lie about another person for that reason. Now I understand why she did it. It doesn't make it okay by far, but I understand why she did it, or there's multiple different reasons why she might have done it. None of them is monetary, but rather marking territory when she realized that her divorce was going to, like, Johnny's getting a divorce. Her cash cow is trying to free himself. So she's trying to ruin him for everybody else, because she knows how things are, he knows how things are, but the rest of us don't. So every other woman who is interested in Johnny has to take a back seat and hope that, and try to figure out what's going on before they take a risk of becoming the next victim, right? Very much more marking territory. Also explaining to her friends who she believes that she's responsible for the affluence at this stage. How did she lose the cash cow? How did she manage to fuck up this relationship so that the cash cow is now running off? So there is that monetary motivation. So she needs to come up with a good explanation to her friends that why she needs to leave this man, and she can't be held responsible for losing that income that Johnny was bringing them all. And that sort of thing. And I could go on and on and on about Amber, but I just don't want to. But so now I have very much this feeling. There's another card open that I left open for myself. I see if I can find it. If I can bring it into the screen. Because it's directly related to this one. Window capture. There. It's not difficult. this one. So about a week ago, I get this card and I pull it out because it's important. Create us a door was the message that I received from that. Give us a door. So I've done that. And now we're coming in. I wanted to restart the tarot reading, but this card was so significant that I didn't want to pull another card because this looked like, okay, we're coming in, and yeah. So that's where we're starting from. This is a very much a vibe that we go for, really. Like the black and red is very much the colors that we connect with. Or I even connect. I've been called that color at some stage in my previous lifetime, but yeah, that's a message that I got from that one. Negotiation table. So this reading should be about how are we going to do this reconnection, and I know that they've been trying to make me do certain things in public just to give a track record, but I just haven't had the confidence. So again, thank you, Mrs. Gucci. Gucci, for giving me the confidence to trust that there is something to it. I will have to. Exactly. But yeah, negotiation. Make a plan. Let's do a plan, and let's do this plan in a way that people can see how it pans out in real life. One of the things that we wanted to do is to prove that this actually is real, as in true emotion mirrors exists. This whole thing is real. You can be as romantic and as unyielding as you want, as you need to be, as you feel compelled to be, as in looking for your true emotion mirror. And now I feel the Yellow King, who I decided to call him, is saying that, make a mention that not all of my true emotion mirrors are famous. So I also need to create a way for them to make their way to me. So the Yellow King is someone I met in 1998 at a club. He was a best friend of my then boyfriend, and that created some issues initially, and then things just wouldn't set straight. And this guy very much looks like Johnny Depp in a certain way. So they're like brothers, they could be brothers. And there's one still photo of Johnny particular where he looks exactly like, let's see if I can find that one. I'm just putting this so that the guy I'm talking about knows that I haven't forgotten about him. This one, this is exactly like him. Like now I say that it's not him, but their names rhyme. Let's put it that way. And I think that they have been sort of like, if they are not splits of the same soul, I believe they are somewhat of alternate husband material, as in when the other one is not there, the other one is. And this was supposed to be probably that Johnny goes his own way, but and the Yellow King is with me, but we mucked it up. But royally. But as it turns out, as I become psychic, I realize that monogamy is the root of all evil. Like, it's really the root of all evil. Like, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not joking about it. I absolutely, as a serious suggestion, say that monogamy is the root of all evil. And the reason why I believe that is that because we enforce some form of relationship, and it's started by treating people like commodities, as in things that you have to calculate, as in there's one and one is enough. If we just pair everybody into groups of two, one man, one woman, everybody should be happy, right? But there is so many issues with that presumption. Now we know that, okay, it can be groups of two, as in two girls or two boys. We can like open-minded like that now, but I think that's not nearly good enough to fix what we've broken with the enforced idea of monogamy. So when I became psychic, I realized that, you know what, there was more than one man, and that I could not, to the life of me, pick between one or the other. And each one of them would be perfectly capable of keeping me blissfully happy for my entire life without breaking a sweat. Like, they wouldn't have to do anything except sit in a chair and breathe, and I would be freaking happy. But 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 I am very much single at the moment, and my life just it doesn't look good on the outside at all. But yeah, so there is another video on my YouTube that is a very clear hello to one of them, and it just came out as a absolute hilarious joke, and it just came to, I was taking a walk one day, and these rhymes just started to come out, and I just had to write the thing. So the lyrics are mine, but the music is AI. But it yeah, it is half a joke, half not, and the topic of it can decide what to do with it. And yeah, okay, negotiate. Okay, now I read this. In terms of monogamy, I think, as a general rule, the people who feel that you feel safe to sort of play with are not your true emotional mirrors, because they are not end all be all. So the reason why we first mucked up our relationship is that when you take things so seriously that you analyze every freaking part of the exchange, and like you just, and you doubt yourself because you're looking basically at someone who you believe to be God himself, and you have to believe that he might be interested in you in some way. It's terrifying. But the guys have been doing a lot of work to convince me that this is how they feel, and this is what they want. I'm not coercing them or pushing them, or they haven't gone insane or anything. So anyway, negotiations. Okay, so this is always the question at when, because we've been at this since 2012. Other true emotion mirrors that I've been talking to, because in the beginning I was writing this blog called twin twinsoulrevelations.org. If you're familiar, that is also me. And a lot of the women they were all women, who emailed me, they also had celebrity connections of the same kind, and often multiple. But they have all given up. They gotten married or moved on, and without connecting with their true emotional mirrors. And what I very much observe is that twin flame connections, when they go telepathic state, they don't tend to pan out in real life, which obviously I am not happy with. But since I have nothing else going on going for me, I've stuck with it and with my plan and whatnot. But yeah, and interestingly, out of all the people that I spoke to at the time who had celebrity connections in twin flames, only one of the men have been hesitant about which way to go between myself, because I basically cleaned the red carpet, and none of the women who had a connection with twin flame connection with someone else, um, except one, but she never claimed to be romantic in the first place. So, but I think that that's what she meant, but she just didn't want to be open about it, I don't think. But one has turned, but he is already dead. So that is somewhat of a different matter. So the way I believe that true emotional mirror connections work is that it is a type of a choice, as in the way you are resonates strongly with the way that somebody else is, and when you find a higher resonance, you will switch. But over time, you become so ingrained to each other, and you mold each other into who you wish to be and who you wish to be allowed to be, and you find the certain groove, and that's what solidifies the relationship over and over and over. And Yellow King is my oldest connection by far. Like, I have memories of him before humans existed. It's that old, as in we were lizards in the first memories, but what I trust the most is we were some kind of a ape species. I remember our sons. I remember son. There was only one son, but I remember how we were playing. I remember what he looked like, and what we felt, how we thought. All of these things is a clear memory. But the lizard ones, even though I remember being a lizard and I believe them to be, and a T-Rex in one lifetime, I do believe that to be also a real memory, but I don't recall my true emotion mirrors from that in any keen, like, clear memory, even though the Yellow King is insisting that he was there, and that we were a couple, but the way that we were just roaming these vast areas of land, and keeping contact with this sort of clicking sounds, like this massive, because you had this massive mouth, and there was some mechanism that you could just send this sound, and it just traveled miles and miles and miles. I remember that, but I am not entirely sure who I was talking to. So so he insisted it was him, but I don't frankly remember. And yeah, I'm just talking as talk comes out. We have lived multiple very legendary lifetimes together, and in different configurations. Some of them have been turned into legends and and fictional stories, and some of them are documented history. The birth dates that I can pick out is create a direct line of reincarnation, and and we seem to be leaving clues very much into our names and birth records, dates of death and dates of birth, and yeah, I'm not ready to mention. I was contemplating on mentioning one where I had this inkling that he's connected, and then I looked up his date of birth and compared it to the suspected previous incarnation, and it was the same exact date, which is unusual, and it spanned like 2,000 years, but but um but the fact that it was the actual same date is a huge thing. And then this girl that I know and very much trust with my things, who is also a very deep soulmate, like old soulmate. I asked her that, do you think that this person is this, because she had a very clear memory of that lifetime, whereas my memories were somewhat still very much coming through, and not very clear to be at the best of. Even now they are not very clear, but her memories are very detailed. And I asked her, do you think that this is the guy? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff happening, but I perfect like to like naked eye, I look very, very mundane. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this without showing my face, is because um, I used to look like someone who could be Johnny Depp's doing face. But I'm 50 now, and getting camera ready takes a little bit more effort than what it used to, and I just don't have the skill set anymore, and I need a haircut badly and that sort of thing. But yeah, there was a time when I looked the part, but this is not very much not today. So one of the things that she referred to in her um, reading was changing her look, or like looks are changing, which is very much how I felt. Like I suddenly feel my age, like my looks changing, but for the worse, very much for the worse, and feeling rather not something that you would want to play with. I'm not too bad. Like I can get spruced up, but I don't know what to do. I don't want to do cameras at the moment. But where do we go next? Oh, the young blokes. Oh, this one actually looks quite a bit like one of the youngings. Um, yeah, so I don't think the text has much to do with it, except teenage. I don't accept the teenagers, but but from my perspective, they sort of might as well be. There's two of them, maybe three, and this is very much of a sort of a combined composite of them all, but I feel like a cradle robber, and I don't want to encourage this. I have responsibilities as the elder. I don't know. They, yeah. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just saying. I'm just dropping that in there. Like, you know what? Age is a bit of an issue, but it's not. It's not something that um, is the main focus. Yeah. So what I've been very much, I'm a bit of a skeptic, to be fair. And there is just too much magic going on at the moment, and have been for a while. And I just don't really know where to put it. The funny thing is that whenever this might be reference to the Green Lantern, because that's when I remember one time when I was watching Green Lantern, and there's this, oh, you're the chosen one, and I'm just sort of thinking in this sort of dismissive way that how much information, like how is it so difficult for you to believe that you're the chosen one? Because if somebody tells you you're the chosen one, why you can't just run with it and like be happy, just be happy and do your duty. But and then there's this, when I was talking to the other twin flames a lot, and they're like, oh, then this happened and that happened, and then could he possibly be my twin flame? And I go, God Almighty, how much proof do you need exactly? And now I'm very much in the same position, but I keep excusing myself. But mate, it's half of freaking Hollywood. What we're talking about. This is insane. It cannot. It's just not right. And at the same time, you sort of logically go like, you know what? If Justin Bieber wanted to be polygynous, and how many wives would he get in an instant? Like, if he wanted to be polygynandrous, how many wives and husbands would he have in an instant if he just went like, you know what, I'm open to it? Exactly. Because it's not but like he could go either polygynous, as in have multiple wives, or go polygynandrous, have multiple like husbands and wives. And if he wanted to be polyandrous, I think he would find it a little bit harder to do. But at least those two the methods, like um, modalities of polygamy, people would be. I think that he'd still do all right with polyandrous mashup, which would mean that he'd share a wife. Um, the reason why I bring up Justin Bieber is I have this particular image in mind where he is standing behind like this fence, and there's like all these girls screaming his name, and they're all looking very obedient to him, which is interesting because he's very close to the gate, and it looks like he has told, or his security has told, that if you touch him, Ivan, he's going to go inside. Do not touch him. And they are as close enough to touch him, but none of them are. And they're just looking at him with this look of worship on their faces. And like, that's freaking astonishing. Like, that's just so telling about this whole connection. Like, I don't hate Justin Bieber by any means. Like, I find him very fascinating character. Not one of my true emotion mirrors that I can testify to, but he's very fascinating in the sense that how he reacts to being worshipped, because I don't think he likes it very much. Like, I don't think he um, is very comfortable with the way that they do it. Like, I think that he's very much more solid character. Like, he's much more grounded than what people give him credit for. But I'm getting distracted. Anyway, too much magic, too much happiness and love and praise and all that, and coming very much from the people who I feel the same way towards, which always makes it weirder. harder to comprehend and accept. And now I'm staring at the lantern. Is it the Green Lantern again? But like the now I'm getting genie, as in the lamp, spirit of the lamp. I don't remember what we call it. You rub the lamp and the genie comes out, and then you get 3 wishes. What would they be? Because they've been trying to make me make wishes, as in so that they can make my wishes come true, and I can't put a finger on them. All I know that I want to be with them in a same physical space. Um, um, I want them all collected in one place, and I want to wind up there somehow easily and unobstructed, and I want to be reunited with them. That's my number one wish. And the rest of it is very much private, which is why I've got this my blog locked for invitation only mode, as in it gets a little not safe for work. The stuff that I entrust with only them, I'm not going to talk about this in a YouTube video. But the guys who may or may not wish to make my dreams come true, they should check their Instagram inbox when they first find my Instagram, and then send me a message, and my message should come up there as the first message. So there's an invitation link. I haven't been able to send all of them yet for various reasons. Like there's kind of spam restrictions, and not all of you have a Instagram account anyway, so I need somebody to sort of relay the message. Like once you get in, you get invitation codes that you can generate to, and then send them to appropriate people. But I'll explain that in another time. That was exactly the answer they were looking for. They are nodding. That's exact. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that was a end of reading message, because I've already gone on for quite some time. And yeah, that's there's probably some suggestions for the next video in the screen. It's not there yet, but we can make that happen eventually. Thank you for watching. Follow and all that if you like, but this is, yeah, I don't know where this is going, so I can't tell you what to do. See you later. Bye.